My life story like Black Rock drinking OE. That brolic shit broken down like Matt Hardy. See through these eyes of people my mind see. It's fucked up, ain't it? No need to remind me. But let me get to it. The stupid shit I was doing left other men dead in their lives. It's just ruined. From ODs to stick-ups going wrong, I stay sharp. Can think the way my mind think, dog. You not evolved. Used to snip pills.
What up, Corner Crew? Welcome back to Culture Corner Wrestling. We're at episode 5. I am your host, Brad Bailey. We have Shaw Elemental in the building. We also have King Charisma in the building. What up, fellas? What up?
It's good, man. What's good?
Living life, man. Living life. Want to give a quick shout out to King Charisma and his brother Element. They just dropped Evil is in My Genetics yesterday. Amazing album. I gave it a once over today. I'm going to look forward to listening to it a little bit more later on tonight. And keep checking us out on the Culture Corner YouTube because the blind review is coming back and he's going to give it a blind review and tell his honest opinion about it. So should be dope.
I can't wait.
Dope. Congrats on the draw, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hell yeah. So yeah, we're back. Episode number 5, going to keep up with some of the latest news in the wrestling world. We've been going over a lot of the good shit that's been happening. It's been a good year so far. I mean, creative has been well. They kicked Vince out again, so that's a good thing. You know what I mean? On WWE side, and AEW starting to tighten up their ship too. And so yeah, let's get off with the number one topic that's been happening is Sting's retirement. He said what? AEW Revolution 2024, which was the only date I can find is September. So it's almost a year away. So he's got a good year of giving it a good run to his retirement. Hopefully he stays healthy enough to really put in that work. So let's start off. Shaw, what do you think?
I mean, it's about damn time, really. I mean, dude deserves a break. Damn, it's been forever. I mean, granted, like, I wouldn't say he worked a heavy schedule the last 15 years or so, but like at that age, I mean, how could you? It's amazing he's able to go out there and do what he does, as is. So I mean, I think it's cool. We'll see. I'm just curious as to who he finishes off with. Now that Flair showed up, I'm like kind of worried that Ric Flair is going to weasel his way into having another last match, and this one being with Sting for Sting's last match. I hate even putting that into the universe because I think the natural thing right now would be to go with, have Darby be his final opponent, and probably, take the loss to Darby and, that'd be that. Give the hugs, handshakes after, all that stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, that's the direction I'm kind of hoping they go in. Would it be my optimal choice? Maybe not, but it makes the most storyline sense, and anything else I think would be kind of foolish. So. I mean, and the guy's a legend. I mean, at this point, he's earned it. I don't think he has anything left to prove. I mean, he's been a champion everywhere. Well, except WWE, but that's a whole different story. We saw how that went. That was trash. Yeah. I mean, he's a legend. What can you say? I remember I went to a house show in 1999, WCW house show. I think it was 99, yeah. It was during the NWO storyline, and the main event for the night was Hogan versus Flair. And at the end, Sting dropped from the ceiling. And other than being at WrestleMania 14 and seeing Stone Cold win his first title, that was probably like the illest moment I ever saw live, for sure. Just them three all at once being there was crazy. But legend, all the props in the world to him.
Yeah, he definitely deserves a break. He deserves all his flowers. King, your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, as messed up as much as it hurts to say, especially because me as a Sting fan, I'm not necessarily like in terms of everything else in his career that he's done besides my primary my primary company that I consume the product of, which is WWE. I love everything that Sting's career has gone through. Obviously, he's been a champion everywhere, but it is about damn time. I mean, he's this dude is at his age, and just a few months ago, we're seeing him take bumps off the freaking top of the ladder onto a damn table. Like, The dude has put in every bit of work someone his age in this company as long as he's been in it as you possibly can put in. Now, in terms of, he did mention that it wouldn't be his initial retirement plan were to retire within the next month or so. He didn't plan to prolong it as long as, he now says he is, which is Revolution next year. Which is good. I mean, I hope that his body can hold it up. I mean, I think they'll definitely be a little more cautious within the storyline and within, making sure that he can sustain a run like that. But I know that he definitely didn't plan to go past December, which is next month. But I'll be excited to see what he does until Revolution 2024. So, hopefully they put him in place to where they have his body able to take the last run. Now, in terms of who his last match will be against, I know Sean mentioned Dart. I mean, there's no really other way to do it, and like you said, otherwise it'd probably be foolish. Obviously, there's probably theories and other things that people would have in mind that being an AEW, he just can't do that. I saw people wanting it to be Adam Copeland Edge. I don't necessarily know that it would fit necessarily like that. Well, obviously, we never got Sting and Taker. Taker's well long gone. And if he did, it would be a different company. But yeah, I'm excited to see his next almost year run while his career takes an end. I'm glad that he decided not to go with the whole, around Christmas time this year thing. I'm glad that he's going to take the next almost year to do so, his final run. But I just hope that they take care of him. You know what I mean? Which they will.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to see.
They definitely will.
You add Danhausen to Darby and Sting and just call them the Brothers in Pain or something. Just give me a trios run. Just put a belt on Dan. Shout out to Danhausen too. I met him last week. Got that figure right there.
Yeah, and it'll help. It'll definitely help. It'll definitely help those guys too. Like that'll be Sting's last run will have a, not that it won't have a purpose anyways, a legend, but it would mean a lot more to do something like that with Sting's final run. You know what I mean? It would mean a lot more to guys like that. It would do a lot more for guys like that.
Help them put over some guys, some young guys that are definitely the backbone of their company in the next 10 years. I second everything you guys are saying. Like, he is definitely a legend. He had some great runs. He's done some great things, and he definitely deserves to go out like a true champion. Like, give it to him, because behind the scenes, he never did anything really, and if he started to slip into his demons, he went and helped himself and fixed himself and then came back better. Because his TNA run was somewhat really decent at points. There was in points in TNA that he was doing some really good things. Even Joker Sting, even though it was so ridiculous, he did it well. There's nobody that could do something that ridiculous.
With his gimmick, there's nobody that could have executed it in that way. I don't think. I don't think that there's another person you can name that could have executed it like that, like he did. And though it was ridiculous, he found comfort in chaos, I guess.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think the dude wasn't like a big wrestling fan or anything like that. He was a bodybuilder. Him and the Warrior when they first started out, and it's amazing to see what he's done that considered, especially because those type of guys usually don't make it long term.
Right.
And he should have fucking beat Triple H. He should have fucking beat Triple H.
Yeah, he should have.
It was a waste of
They shouldn't have made it so much chaos.
Yeah, that was trash. I remember being so disappointed.
Because it literally defeated the whole point of bringing him back, for one. And that was just it irritates me so much because it's such a representation of Vince McMahon stroking his own ego, and he just can't have his guys lose.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
He couldn't have his guys lose. Of course, that's always how it's been.
And it's crazy too, because the smarter thing would have been done to take those WCW guys coming in at that time and put them on that same level to create the whole rising tides lifts all boats type of thing. You know what I mean? It would have made for obviously better storytelling and stuff. And when they did the invasion angle and all that, we wouldn't have had these weird Steve Austin is on the WCW team and all this nonsense that they were doing. It was just could have been so much better.
No, it could have been so much better. It was just, and I'm not even a Triple H hater at all. I'm just like, there was no reason or point for that, and it was definitely, I think, just Vince's ego getting in the way. He didn't want his guys to, take a loss for anything. If it was up to him, he still wouldn't. That's why Mustafa Ali almost won the Money in the Bank, and then Brock Lesnar comes out last second. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
it was Vince's way, and his way is gone, hopefully. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, they dropped the ball on a lot of things. And one of the best things in Sting's career was for him to get hurt. When he was in WWE, to move on away from them and get away from them, because he has had a decent run in AEW. He hasn't had the All-Star Championship run that everybody would think
but he's getting the perfect run for a 60-year-old guy. Respectful.
Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely shout out to Sting, man. He deserves whatever is coming his way after his retirement. Hopefully, he gets out there and makes a shit ton of money in autograph sales and all that. He needs a podcast. That's what he's gonna do. I'm sure he'll do that. Tell all his stories, because I'm sure he's got a million of them. So that'd be dope to see. So life after wrestling is probably definitely going to be good to him.
Definitely.
All right, fellas, let's move on to our next topic of the night. And it was another big news, I guess, in the world of wrestling is Impact is crossing back over to TNA Wrestling. And that's kind of should have been always the whole point in the whole case of TNA Wrestling. Should have been the same thing, because we all still call it TNA Wrestling. Nobody calls it Impact. Well, it's good on them to make that move too, but hopefully they'll rebrand. I think, what is it, January 1st it starts over?
Sometime in January 13th or something like that, it's
something like that.
So they should have probably never used that name in the first place in reality, especially, I mean, think about, all right, so Jim, who was it? No, it was Vince Russo came up with the name, mind you. Imagine that, TNA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it during the era, but man, that name just, it's like, it's cringeworthy in a way. But it's total nonstop action, not what you're thinking. Get your mind out of the gutter. But I mean, yeah, you're right. Though. Everybody's been calling it. It plays into the heritage that is there and the history that they do have, because there's a lot of people that really enjoyed, the 6-sided ring and what it was 6, I think, anyway. But like the X division and the Knockouts division back in the day, when WWE didn't treat the women with any respect or anything, TNA was giving you like real women's wrestling at the time, and it was like hardcore, like Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and all that stuff back then. They have a good history of a lot of classic stuff. Then they also have the LOL TNA stuff, which is the other aspect of it, because it's like, you get the good stuff along with the bad, taking that name back, but it is more recognizable than Impact. TNA, they were on Spike, a cable network, like a mainstream cable network. Raw was on there at one point, I want to say. They had video games and toys and Walmarts and everywhere. So it is a known name. It's probably the smart thing to do. I mean, so why not do it? I mean, you might as well. Plus, you can tie back into your history a lot more. I know I read they're not doing the 6-sided ring because I guess, it beats the guys up more than the 4-sided ring. So, that's cool. So I guess we won't get that aspect of it. But yeah, I think it's good for them. They got to do something. They're actually putting on pretty good storylines for what they do and good matches. So they got to get more eyes on it, really. So hopefully this will help. Maybe even bring some lapsed fans back who missed the heyday of TNA.
Yeah, definitely. I think that at the height of wrestling, since we're probably in the prime time in terms of like getting as many eyes on the profession as the world has probably ever had it right now. I mean, think about it. We're having pay-per-views with, 90,000 people. This is like Michael Jackson concert level attendance at these freaking pay-per-views. And I think that they just want parts of that. And I think the way they want to start off with that is, we're going to go back to our original name, because there was a point in time where, not saying that they don't compete now, but there was a point in time where it was WWE and then it was TNA. That's what it was at a point in time.
more viewers than AEW does now. Back
Right.
then.
That's right. Right. Exactly. So I think they see the viewership in the other two companies, and they're just like, oh well, we want parts of that, and I think that it's gonna help bring back like a certain amount of people. Like you said, there's a certain amount of fans that probably strayed away from it. Now, is that simply due to just the name? I don't think so, but I think that it'll definitely help bringing the name back. And when you think of TNA, you think of a certain like edginess to professional wrestling. You think of like a certain like group of like badass professionals that get in that ring, and there's a certain grit to professional wrestling that TNA always had. And I think when you bring back the initial traditional original name, never went away any damn way. You think of like certain grit that comes to professional wrestling that I think bringing the name back will bring the memories back for a certain like age group, and then they'll be able to pass things on to newer wrestling fans, and it'll be able to come into the fray and be able to market itself and compete with the big two right now. So like I definitely don't think they should have ever even went away with it in the first place. But I definitely think it's a good marketing move to go back to it, to bring themselves in the mix a little more, um, and try to get back to where they were in terms of the placement in professional wrestling.
I don't think they get enough credit for birthing AEW style, because they really did. They birthed the style of AEW wrestling, basically. Like a lot of those guys that came up that are in AEW now came up through TNA, and it's all because Vince didn't see anything in them and he didn't want them. And so they were like, okay, now we're going to go make this here over here. But they really took a lot from TNA.
But even WWE now. I mean, you look at who's over WWE. You got AJ Styles. Samoa Joe was there. Now he's in AEW. But you got Bobby Roode, who's now a producer because of, I guess I read recently that he can't wrestle anymore, which is a shame because he was the man. But I guess he's doing producer work over there. So there's a lot of TNA in a lot of these companies nowadays. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it had a different vibe. Like he was saying, it was like, I remember they had when they first came out, they had cages with strippers basically in them, and they were running pay-per-view weekly. And then they got a TV deal stuff. They obviously dropped the strippers eventually, and they had a way different vibe. Like, and I mean, when you got Vince Russo running the show, I mean, you know what to expect with that. And then at points, I mean, they had Jim Cornette helping run it at points. When it got really ridiculous there, I think was like with the Hogan Bischoff era. That's really when, because they were trying to go after WWE and they switched to Monday nights and try to go head to head with them. And that was one of the worst things they ever did because they just couldn't compete at that point. And having Hogan and Bischoff coming in and them having all the power they did, changing storylines and whatever they were doing behind the scenes, it really kind of ruined all their momentum. And then that was pretty much it. They're like, all right, we'll go back over here. And then they just slowly, over time, it was just a slow drip down to what they are now. So they definitely needed some sort of shot.
Yeah, they were a farm system for WWE at that point. They were just getting all their top guys plucked out left and right, and then just being left with scraps trying to recover. But they've done some really great storylines. They've done some really great storylines over time, and hopefully they can continue on with it. They have a deep roster. I was checking it out recently. I was watching some stuff, and they have a really deep roster. So hopefully they can do some stuff, rebrand like King says, man. Got to market it, got to do it the right way, and maybe they can catch up to the viewership that they want. But who knows? It's the wrestling world. People are fickle. They'll get rid of you real fast. And yeah, King's dropping a little bit, but it's all good. And so, yeah, you guys want to move on to our next topic, and that's it's going to be a good one because it's basically an opinion-based one. And who's going to take Roman's title? Who and when is it going? Who's going to do it? Cha, you might as well go.
Okay, so I'm going safe bet. I'm calling Cody at Mania. I think long-term play, it's the way to go. I think maybe about a month and a half, 2 months leading up to WrestleMania is when that storyline really heats up again. And then, because in the meantime, I think they kind of have them both doing different stuff. You see Roman's got LA Knight coming up in wherever in Saudi Arabia that show is. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see LA Knight beat him, but at the same time, I want to see Cody. I think the big payoff is definitely having Cody beat him. I mean, you do that, I think, in that. For one thing, I think the effect of that having on people looking at WWE as a place to go, just as wrestlers and their own employment, I think that would change a lot of perception as far as like the outsider coming in scenario. Even though Cody was an insider, he did help start AEW. So you have that aspect. And before, in times past, like we were talking about earlier, how they would treat, the WCW guys coming in and burying them. I think having the long-term storytelling of Cody taking his second shot and finally getting the story complete, doing it, getting the job done is just the way to go. I mean, they've had a heel on top for what, 3-4 years now. I think it's time we can have a baby face on top. And who's a better baby face than Cody right now? Maybe LA Knight, but I want to see LA Knight win a title, but I prefer it to be Seth's, honestly. But I don't see either having both two faces as your champions either at the same time. So we'll see what happens. But my money would go to Cody. That's what I would go with. I would go with Cody for that. And then I'd probably even, well, crazy as it sounds, I might even have him turn heel at Mania to win it and really earn that nightmare moniker. And be like, I trolled you all, and then he could play into leaving to start AEW. I hate this company so much that I went somewhere else and I started another company. Like, I'm telling you, that it would be crazy. That's what I would do if I was booking that. That's where I would go with it because it's totally left field, unexpected. Everybody's expecting him to win, yeah, but not like that.
Right. Yeah, that would be money. There would be definitely some money in that for sure. King,
Definitely
who takes
money.
Roman's title? When and where?
The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes in Philly, WrestleMania 40 with Mr. King Charisma in the building. That's when he does it. I'll be drunk by noon probably that day. It's going to happen. I'm telling you. Now, I think one thing that does interest me is, Sean mentioned how a possible heel turn after he takes the title at 40. I think that's brilliant only because I saw, like, not that you can't go by a promo in terms of, people possibly turning heel just because they show some passion in it. But I know this past week he went back and forth with trash ass Damian Priest, and he showed signs of like possibly doing it very, very well in terms of like the aggression and the passion in his voice. So I'm like, if he were to take the title from Roman and then show this same passion as a heel afterwards, I think it's money. I think it's brilliant. I did see something, however, it was like how people sometimes on the socials they'll do like these mock scenarios and like mock trades for like both brands or whatever.
Yeah.
I saw something where obviously we know LA Knight's gonna drop. He's gonna lose to Roman at Crown Jewel. I don't see a scenario where we have a surprise that LA Knight wins at Crown Jewel. There's no way. Because that would defeat the purpose of Cody ever defeating the story or completing the story because there's no title involved. I think if you just beat Roman, there's no value in it if there's no title, right? So I think somebody had mentioned, I saw something cool. I forget the exact scenario. They had like bullet points of it, but a possible LA Knight Cody Rhodes trade. LA Knight, goes back over and feuds with whoever the hell, and then Cody's able to finish the story on SmackDown. And then the Judgment Day will get involved or something like that with LA's Knights match at Crown Jewel, whatever the hell it was. It probably would line up absolutely perfect because LA Knight's in the mix with Roman now. He'll be able to, Roman will be able to. Not that LA Knight's not over now. He absolutely is. That pop is probably the, best pop in the freaking company right now. But having Cody go over to SmackDown in a trade for LA Knight to finish that story with Roman. They already had the stare off after the tag titles match on SmackDown a few weeks ago. So they're not hiding from the fact that it's a possibility that Cody's going to come back for that freaking title. But yeah, Cody, Mania 40, possibly a LA Knight trade in the middle of there. I'm feeling that. LA Knight's obviously not going to win at Crown Jewel, but obviously it's going to be interesting to see who wins the Rumble. I don't necessarily know who for sure that be. I have a couple picks in mind. I don't necessarily know that they'll go after Roman though, unless they have Cody repeat and win the Rumble again, which I don't see either. I think that he's so elevated and so over right now that they don't necessarily have to have him win a Rumble in order to go after Roman's title. He's on a level to where he doesn't have to win a Rumble, or even a Chamber for all that matter, to go get that title. I think that he's deserved a legitimate, just like face-to-face crossover. Tell the storyline best you can, but he has to be on SmackDown to do it, I guess. So there's a few scenarios, but it's definitely Cody, and there's no. If there's anybody else, I don't necessarily know I'd be happy with anybody else. I don't know who else could beat Roman that would actually make me happy right now. And I don't think LA Knight's ready, to be fair. Like
I guess it's 3 for 3 for Cody. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think LA Knight's ready.
I feel you. But yeah, it's 3 for 3.
I think LA Knight
3 on this one because I think Cody's taking it too, and but I think it's going to be the opposite way. I think he's going to win the Rumble, man. I think they're going to give him a second Rumble. I think they're going to make it adversity. He's going to go in at like number 1. I think there's going to be some way that they're going to work it that he's number 1 in the Rumble. Maybe if they do switch him over to SmackDown and him and Nick Aldis have history. You know what I mean? They could have Nick Aldis turn heel on Cody.
That's what it was. There was the Nick Aldis thing.
Give him
the
the number
Aldis
1 spot.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. There was that relationship.
Right.
This tweet that I read.
Right.
That was
so
brilliant.
exactly. So you're gonna go if you're gonna put like the whole baby face thing behind Cody, you're gonna want him to have to face every hurdle. So that's how I would do it. I would have him go in Rumble, number 1, go the whole distance, win it. Actually make it a little longer of a Rumble than usual. Stretch it out, not more participants, but just make the time stretch out a little bit longer and be like, oh, this is the longest Rumble in history. He's lasted from number 1, bop, bop, bop. And then he goes right after Roman. They rode to WrestleMania with that. And yeah, he wins it easy. And throw a couple obstacles in there during the match. Jimmy, even bring Jay back in if he wants to turn back heel and go back over there. They have many, many options. What'd you say?
I was saying he can give him a kayfabe.
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Kayfabe pec injury.
Something. Yeah, they do
little things like that.
They're going to throw a lot at him. They definitely will. But
yeah, I wouldn't sleep on him losing the preset Crown Jewel.
You think he'll lose?
Yeah, probably.
I wouldn't put my money on it.
Why not?
With the Judgment Day always getting involved with everything, and obviously we're, clock is ticking. We're a month or some change away, or 2 months away from the Rumble. 2.5, 3 months away from Chamber. They could start like you said, an adversity thing where there's a losing streak where he keeps getting like done dirty by whether it's the Judgment Day or so many people. That'll make the win feel so much greater at a Rumble or at a Chamber. You know what I mean? So I think at Crown Jewel, I think he'll win, but to start like that adversity chain of events and like that adversity story, I could see like the Judgment Day getting involved and Priest taking a W at Crown Jewel.
Potentially, I can see
that. Which
I
hate because he's trash, but
yeah, he's pretty doo-doo. But
yeah,
I hate his stupid face.
Yeah, he
be wrapping up for the night, fellas. So let's get your last thoughts.
Oh, you gonna make me think right now? It's foul.
We're gonna be wrapping up tonight, fellas. Yeah, I got to do
my
it, man.
last thoughts would be Shout out to Danhausen. I got to meet him last week. Like I said earlier, dude's a super nice guy. If you guys get the chance, go out and meet him. He's really cool, down to earth dude. But yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to all this what we got going on right now with this wrestling thing. There's so many big matches coming up. We're starting to get into WrestleMania season. The Rumble's almost here. And now that Vince is gone, it kind of adds a little extra element of surprise because we really don't know what is going to happen. I'm really excited because I remember the heyday of NXT when Triple H was allowed to do what he wanted to do. And now that he's got the same ability with the main roster, I'm really excited to see where things are going to go. And I'm liking what's going on in AEW right now. I'm curious to see, who MJF's two partners might be. Could the dynasty be coming back into effect? Could Hammerstone get his release from MLW and maybe join him there? So we'll see what happens with that. It's looking crazy though. There's so much stuff going on. All this TNA news. They've been having stellar shows. So I mean, it's been crazy. I'm just looking forward to more top-notch wrestling, really. And go bump my new single, Osama Monologues. Go bump this man's album. Go get that. Tell them all about that. That's all I got for
sure. No, so I mean, we're in a good freaking time in wrestling right now. I can't even say anything otherwise. There's so much going on in so many different companies that is just highly exciting. We're getting into Mania season. There's a lot of freaking good stuff on TV right now. That is, if you're a wrestling fan, or even if you love, sports entertainment in general, that is gonna be worth tuning into. So, but in terms of everything else, yeah, I do have a new album with my brother Element out. It's called Evil is in My Genetics. It's our third project together, and we think it's not even close. We think it's clear as day the best one. So yeah, a lot of good wrestling stuff coming up, guys. We can't freaking wait. I'm hoping that I gotta repost the picture of my Halloween costume from over the weekend because I lost a freaking costume contest and I came in second place with my Undertaker costume. I was pissed. Dude. It was so rigged. Like the dude had all his chicks there. It's my boy Chris. Shout out to Chris. But he beat me with like this corny freaking opium bird costume. I should have won. There's no way I should have lost. But I put it all together myself. I cut the wig myself. Got the hat. Did the trench coat myself. Everything was done by myself. And I freaking lost. I came in second place. I was hot as hell in that damn trench coat.
Yeah, that thing looked fun.
But yeah. New album out and everything, guys. We'll link everybody. Yep.
Oh yeah. Definitely go check both them out. You know what I mean? It's good music for your ears. And yeah, we do have a lot of good wrestling shit coming up. And speaking of what we got coming up here at Culture Corner Wrestling, we're gonna have a new series coming. It's kind of semi-competitive. New series, and we're going to be inviting members to join us, and it's just going to be a quick video of us fantasy booking something and going against each other head to head and letting the members of the group in the social media world and everywhere out there vote on who was the best for that particular fantasy booking. So it's called Creative Control. Definitely come check us out when we launch it. It's going to be launching sometime before the end of the year. We just got to get our shit together. But you know how it is. Yeah. And check out the Hip Hop Happy Hour podcast live 8 p.m. as always. Check out Masters of the Gameverse. As always, we've come with content over and over and over and over again. And yeah, for myself, King, Shaw, it was a good episode, fellas. Thank you. We'll be coming back when we get some more wrestling news, and we'll be going actually to a WWE holiday event in Boston on December 27th. So we'll be checking that out, and maybe we'll get you some content to go along with all the rest of the good shit that we be bringing you. But yeah, fellas, tell us where we can find you guys.
You find me on Facebook, Shy Elemental, artist page, Sean Wick also. You can find me Sean Wick 978 on Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. I don't do Twitter. Somebody hacked my account and stole it, even though I never used it. So I don't know what's going on with that cornball shit. But yeah, man. Holla.
Yeah, you guys can find me King Charisma on literally everything. I got a artist page on Facebook now, KXNG Charisma, Instagram, Twitter, all of that good stuff. Ton of freaking music coming, ton of everything else coming. So it's gonna be a big year for us. I'm excited.
Dope.
All right, fellas. Again, for Culture Corner Wrestling, we're out. Peace.
Go peace.